Hello, Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. I'm here with Founder Talks with Aisha. Over here we have our first guest, Ammar Akhtar. Ammar Akhtar is an entrepreneur with over 14 years of entrepreneurial experience. हमने इनको इसलिए बुलाया है because we want to learn from him how he started his journey, and right now he is CEO of Final Rentals, which is a car rental service in Dubai, and it's very famous. So Ammar, like you are still young and you have over 14 years of entrepreneurial experience. So please share with us, like how did you start with this journey, and like give us a story of how did you start, what was your educational background, and what made you jump into entrepreneurship when startups were not even a concept in Pakistan.
Right. First of all, Aisha, thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure knowing you and knowing what exactly you do for the ecosystem, for the startup ecosystem, and I think it's really amazing. So really, thank you for having me, and I'm really pleased to be here. It's my honor. So yeah, you're right. It's been almost 14 years. I would say 14 plus years as an entrepreneur, right? And I come from Karachi, okay, and that's where I actually started my first company. It was 2003, 4, and then yeah, you're right. That was a time when there was no concept of startups. We were considered as young businessmen or new businesses. So basically, I studied software engineering from Aptech in Karachi. Aptech is one of the best, let's say, academic institutions where you learn programming and coding. But when I started studying in Aptech, I actually had no idea what exactly is entrepreneurship, and I had no, let's say, ambitions to become an entrepreneur or start my own business. I just wanted to be a very good programmer, very good engineer. Okay, so when I was studying in Aptech, I was fascinated with the world of coding, and I used to code for 10, 12 hours, and I used to have loads of fun with that. So I got my first internship in Karachi, and I think my first boss, he actually really influenced me that, hey, you can become an entrepreneur. He was from University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and from Wharton Business School, and he came from that American entrepreneurial culture. So he actually exposed me to the world of entrepreneurship, and then I was like, wow, okay, so this is something very interesting. And honestly, it's all thanks to him in that internship of 6 months, which then ended up becoming an employment for almost 2 years. I think that's when I realized that this is something that I can do. And then I started my first company in Pakistan.
That's fantastic. Like this means that one of your mentors had a very important role to play in your entrepreneurial journey, and paved the path for you into entrepreneurship, which is really nice. And I'm sure, like right now, with so many years of entrepreneurial experience, you must be such a great mentor as well. So every entrepreneur has their stories. There are some tough stories, and there are some funny stories in their entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so yeah. I would very much like to know the challenges that you faced, like one challenging story and one funny story of your entrepreneurship journey, which really taught you a lot about कि अच्छा ये तो different है. This is not like a job, it's something different. और अब मैंने इसको हैंडल किया और मैंने इससे सीखा इन चैलेंजेस से या फिर इस एग्जांपल से.
So funny story, okay, first thing is, the challenging part is that I actually have chosen a path for myself that is not very easy. So I was in Pakistan. I was in my first startup that I started in Pakistan. We used to make games, mobile games, and we used to export the games to UK and USA, and we used to earn a lot of money. I was only 21, 22 that time, and I was making around £5,000 a week in that age, right? So it was a lot of money. So I actually had no idea what to do with that. It was like, what's happening? It was just, the world was turning around me, and I come from a very poor background. So I think when you become an expat entrepreneur, it's even more harder. I think that was full of challenges because I had no idea about Dubai. It's a new market, and you're trying to study the market. You're trying to learn, and that was very very challenging in the first 3-4 years in Dubai when I moved to Dubai. In 2007. So till 2011, I must tell you that it was a long struggle of 4 years. I was really living at a very shoestring, let's say, what should I call it? A budget, I would call it, and it was very difficult. I was not. It was very hard to make the ends meet, right? So it has been a journey of challenges. Funny story is that I sometimes feel that when I look back at my life, I sometimes feel that I could have stayed back home. I could have stayed in Pakistan.
Your life could have been simpler.
I mean, there was no need to actually, travel that much, and there was no need. I could have just stayed back in Pakistan. I could have done something there because when I look back now in Pakistan, also the startup ecosystem is quite rich. It's getting something. It's getting some momentum. So yeah, sometimes I just feel I could have just been there, and life would have been much simpler, right? But again, we are what we are of what happened yesterday, right? So all this journey then would have been different. I would have had less exposure of the world. I've traveled to more than 78 countries, so that wouldn't have happened, right?
Exactly.
And then then life would have been much different. So yeah, but again, when I look back, sometimes I just miss the countries. I think it's more about being a nationalist, I would say. So you miss that part, you miss that Pakistani culture. You miss that.
Yeah. So it's more like you can say like homesickness or missing home kind of feeling.
Yeah. And I have that feeling like, for long, it happens. It comes back to you like once in a month, once in a week. Sometimes, it comes back to you and you're like, man, I miss that. I miss that chai. I miss going out with friends, I miss my cousins, spending time with them, all those things.
Yeah. So this means that you have to bring final rentals to Pakistan so that you don't miss home anymore. So, yeah. So,
well, actually, a lot of people told me that you should bring final rentals to Pakistan. And then I'm waiting because I'm waiting for that law and order or that kind of security, in our country where a car is secure. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I think we are going through a lot, right?
Yes,
and
yes, we are.
Once that settles down, maybe there might be a situation when I will bring this, to Pakistan for sure.
Yeah, the promising and positive thing is that the government has awakened towards startups and the impact that startups can play in Pakistan's ecosystem. Learning from global examples. Everyone is investing in startups, so you can say that the government is very much positive. They are trying to create policies for startups and making business more easier for startups so that we can have more jobs in the country. So that's a positive thing. So coming to
awesome. Wow.
So coming to final rentals. Okay, so why final rentals? Like, weren't there other car rental platforms already existing, and why did you feel like, what convinced you to launch this platform? And you were like, okay, like a light bulb was on that you said this is going to be hit in Dubai. So what made you do that?
Right. I think that's a very, very important question for me, as an entrepreneur also. The thing is, Aisha, this idea of final rentals is with me since 11 years.
Okay.
So when I came to Dubai, my first project was to build a website for budget rent-a-car. So I built their website, okay? And then I built a website for Thrifty, Europe Car. And from 2007 till 2017, I worked for almost 200 car rental companies. So I built their ecosystem, their booking engines, their systems. I understand how it works. I know the whole business. So with every website that I used to deliver, I used to come back home and I used to think about, oh man, this industry needs a startup, some disruption, something is required. And that's when the idea came to my mind about final rentals. But then the project lived with me for so many years, in my brain, in my imagination. It was in my imagination for so many years. And then finally, it was December 2017 when I launched Final Rentals. And I said, you know what, I'm going to change this industry. Because see, the thing is, with car rentals, it is almost 200 years old industry, right? It's very traditional, and it was not changing. The car rental system is still the same. The booking process is the same. Everything is the same. You rent a car from the airport or downtown is the same. So when we were making these booking engines for those companies, right, they were not digital. Yes, they do a lot. They have the cars, they have the branches, they have everything. But the digitization of this was not translating into the counter. So when you go at the counter, the behavior was very traditional. Sir, please sign here. Let me scan your passport. It was like, what the hell? And a lot of customers were like, man, when I booked a car online, I was told something else. And now when I'm at the counter, the price is something else. I'm not happy. This is not digital. This is crazy. I feel cheated.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's when Final Rentals was born. So whatever you see on Final Rentals is 100% transparent. 100% transparency is there. You see the price online, you pay the price offline. The documentation, everything is digital. It's just taken online. So I actually tried to make this industry more digital, right? Second thing is, you will find it very surprising that all the car rental deals, right, mostly, they focus on the airport locations, right? And they don't really promote the downtown locations, the malls, the downtown areas, the counters in the suburbs. So we actually highlight those areas as well. Second thing is, you can also rent a car on monthly basis using Finder. So you can actually use car as a service. So you can also subscribe to a car on monthly basis, right? On Final Rentals, and you can also order a delivery to your home, which is very useful when it comes to COVID-19, right? So basically, you know, we have, that's the, I would say, the solution idea behind Final Rentals.
That's amazing, because I have not worked in like car rental services, but it's very good information for me to know that, okay, the systems, the operations, they're still really old. Like time and again, I come across examples in which there is still scope for digitization in multiple industries.
Yes.
And it appears that car rentals is also one of those. So all power to you. I hope that Final Rentals does disrupt this industry and creates a lot of jobs as well. So, yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would like to touch slightly upon the current pandemic situation that we are all faced with. Everyone is affected by the situation, and whether it's jobs, schools, universities, everything is affected. Businesses are affected, startups are affected. There are some businesses that are earning more during the pandemic, but still a majority of the global system, economic system, is in turmoil right now. So what is your suggestion for startups which are struggling? How can they survive, and what should they focus on right now, especially if they are young entrepreneurs and they were suddenly faced with this situation?
So the thing is, the first thing that I say, that I have been saying this very openly, is that quitting is not an option, right? So the thing is, what was working 4 months ago before the pandemic, you know, it still works. The world still needs your solution that you were giving, that you were selling before the pandemic. It will still work. All you need to understand is we are having a phase where it is totally, you know, disrupted. It's like a pause phase where everything is, you know, paused due to some kind of situation that is emergency situation, and we all have to just go through this. Like everybody, you know, is going through this. So what you can do is cut your cost immediately. Whatever, you know, wherever you can cut the cost, cut the cost. It's okay if you have to give away your office, give it away, no problem. If you have to, right? Just try and see how you can optimize your resources. You might have to make unfortunate decisions of, you know, letting some staff go. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. But saying goodbye to the business is not the answer, because business is a vehicle that will create jobs again when market will bounce back again, when market will correct itself, right? So all you have to understand is believe in your idea, because what was selling before, right, will still sell. People will come back, right? The world will have to move on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Today, tomorrow, day after, whenever, right? So
Exactly.
just you have to go through this phase. So live as leaner as possible. Okay. You might have to make some tough decisions, right? But but remember one thing: quitting is not the option, because you just cannot say, oh, you know what, I'm going to quit, and I'm going to go and get a job. Because the thing is, we as entrepreneurs should think of creating jobs than quitting business and finding a job for ourselves, right? So we just have to wait, right, and come back again when the world is back to meet us, and we can do it again. You might have to make some changes in the business model. So what you were doing at the counter, what was face to face, you might have to make it more digital. See where's the scope of digitization in your business, right? All the meetings that you were doing in the boardrooms, now they can happen on Zoom, like we are talking right now. So many things, you can cut on the travel costs, and so many things can happen. But quitting is not the option. You can pivot in many different ways, right? And yeah, and when the world will be back to normal, we'll be back to buying your services. So yeah,
Exactly.
so that's the only thing I can
Yeah.
I can say.
Ammar, I just love what you said there. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a personal development coach as well. And whether it's someone who has been laid off from a job, or whether it's a startup, a new founder who is struggling with business and their startup, quitting is not an option. Everyone has to work.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
also suggest sometimes, especially people who approach me online, that okay, if you have been laid off from job, then at least try to do something online. There, you can be a content creator, a graphic designer, or a content writer. So like quitting is seriously not an option, and I simply love this message that you just shared. So coming to the mass layoffs that are happening everywhere, like it's not just in Pakistan or South Asia or Europe and America, everyone is facing layoffs. And so what is your suggestion to all these talented people? Like these are people who are talented, but because their companies could not afford them any longer, so unfortunately
Yeah.
they were laid off. So what do you think from an entrepreneurial perspective can be done?
The thing is, I wrote one article for Magnet, I think a couple of months ago,
Right.
where I talked about this mass layoffs, right? So here's the thing: for the businesses, I suggest that if you're laying off people, why not talking to them, and telling them that okay, we can do some renegotiation of the salary for a certain period of time, right? And for example, if you'll be happy to work on, let's say, 40% or 30% less of your salary than being laid off, right? So there can be many ways to bridge the gap, and people should understand, because it's a new normal. So there's so many things to be newly normalized, right? So salary can be one thing. If it's inevitable that I can see so many companies are laying off people. Lufthansa laid off 22,000 people, and so many other companies also. So it is teaching us two things. Number one, job is never a secure thing, right? So you can be laid off when you're not required, or when something happens, company will say, oh, I cannot afford you, right? So it's a great opportunity for you to become an entrepreneur, right? And entrepreneurship does not really mean that you become an entrepreneur and have 10 people working in a company, right? If you're working as a freelancer, as a solopreneur, you're still an entrepreneur.
Exactly. True.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
You might have a skill that nobody has. Designing, you can be a great designer, graphic designer, social media content creator, or even just a talker on the camera. You can spread knowledge, right?
Exactly.
So I think it's a great time to go back and do a deep dive inside you and say, who am I? What can I do? If I don't have to rely on a paycheck, what else do I have in me? And
Exactly.
find that special, because it's a time, right? You have a month or two off. You can, fine, you're looking for jobs, I understand, but why not do a deep dive inside you? Instead of deep diving in your CV, do a deep dive inside yourself and say, you know what, who am I after all? Right? And find that person that is inside you. There must be some special skill that you can work on. There are so many people who work on solopreneurship. They are freelancers, they are individual businesses, they are writers, they are designers, right? They are voiceover artists, singers, whatever. Find that skill inside you. I think it's a great time to understand that.
Yeah.
Go close to nature and find that. Second thing is, I would say that one thing that it taught me as a business, this pandemic taught me, is that you cannot be a business, relying on very heavy cash flow. So, for example, heavy cash flow, like, you have rents, you have everything on rent, office on rent, car on rent, this on rent, that on rent. I think you really have to understand and start also thinking about assets. So imagine if I own the office where I run the business, if I own that office, so corona or no corona, it doesn't matter, right? I own the office. I don't have to pay the rent. School, right? So think about owning things, then becoming a very heavy cash flow business and fake valuations. I think we have to think about being an asset-based business also, where we can try and own things also.
Exactly. I simply love that you brought this last part up, fake valuations and thinking in terms of assets, because this has really exposed the global startup ecosystem. So my next question was about this, that what do you think this pandemic has done to the global startup ecosystem, and what it has really taught every one of us that we should be focusing as a startup on, and how we should be looking at business and its sustainability?
I think when we come back to the desk after the COVID-19 era, I would say, or this hit that we are going through, I think the world will wake up to profitability, right? Instead of cash flow and valuations, right? So I think investors also will not talk about the 10x hockey stick growth, right? They will ask, how much money are you making? They will not ask how much money it can make in 50 years. They will ask how much money it is making right now.
Exactly.
Are you making $1 against $1? Okay, we can talk. So it will not be like I'm spending $100 and I'm getting 10 customers, right? And then I spend 1,000 more to get 10 more. Then I spend 1,000 more to get 20 more. In the end, I'm not profitable, right? But I'm the world famous company called Uber, but I'm not profitable. I mean, it does not make any sense to me, honestly speaking. And I think this is something that we have to go back to the table and say, you know what, let's build a business that works, and not the business that creates a lot of noise, creates a lot of job. So imagine Uber has 30,000 employees, right? But my question is, what is the security of those 30,000 employees? When you can fire them tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? And we hear so many of these stories, like Oyo has fired these many people, Airbnb is firing so many people, this company is firing so many people. Then my question is, what is so great about this company then? What's so mahan about it?
Exactly.
Then why are we shouting their name with our lungs out? Why? What have they done? Honestly speaking. So I think that is where we have to, when the world is back to normal, we have to think about real business. Real business is that I sell you this mouse. It cost me 20 rupees and I'm selling it for 21. And 1 rupee is my profit. That's the real business.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me if there's anything else that, I cannot sell this mouse and because it is costing me 12. I cannot sell this for 2 rupees. That's not real business. Just because I'm selling 1 million mouse, that is actually a loss on every mouse. It doesn't make sense for me. And that's not how I have built Final Rentals.
Fantastic.
It's a business that makes profit.
Yeah. So okay, now I'm curious about Final Rentals. How Final Rentals makes money, and how is it different? Like, what's the business model?
So to answer this question, I'll just take you to the COVID era, right? So on March 18th, we got a government notification that you have to close down all the locations. Okay. So all the partners that I have, they close the locations, right? So technically speaking, on March 18th, Final Rentals 99% inventory was off.
Okay.
So you have 11 cars to rent. That's all you have.
Okay.
And normally we have 500,000 cars on our platform. Okay.
Yes.
So it went down drastically. But the good part is we had no layoffs, nothing. Everything is the same. No salary cuts. It is running exactly in a similar way. There's no difference in Final Rentals. There's no difference at all. So how I run Final Rentals is, we do not spend heavily on marketing. We do not spend anywhere where we don't get that money back, or a little more back, right? Right. And we are on month-to-month profitability. Okay. So there's no debt. Final Rentals actually owns its assets. For example, I own the company car. It's owned by the company. It's not on the bank loan. So all the things that we do, we own it. So we own our own data center. We have our own data center. We don't pay for the cloud services. So we have built it in a way that it is owning something. It's like intangible assets. Okay. Other thing that we do is we rely heavily on organic selling, organic customer base.
Exactly.
So it's SEO, it's word of mouth. It's me talking to you right now is actually, it's, indirect marketing of financials, you can say.
Exactly.
Right? So, that's how we have marketed. So we do not spend so much money, outrageous spending on marketing and then not getting it back and the fake value. It's a very organically, run business. And before the pandemic, my head of marketing used to come to me and tell me, "You're not doing any marketing. Where are the radio ads?" And we have our competitors, and they spend heavily on TV, radio, and all those ads. So when you open the app, I see my competitors' ad. Okay, and then and she'll come to me and she'll say, "See what they're doing. See," and I'm like, "Listen to me. This is not how I run business."
Yeah, exactly.
So now my model of running business is being proved right, at least in my company.
Yeah, at least you didn't take it to such an extent that it won't come down crashing. You're taking it in a very sustainable and organic way. And me and my co-founders at Hophoppers, we believe in organic development as well. We don't like viral content or viral content marketing.
Exactly.
We want it to be organic and sustainable so that our employees are happy, we are happy, and we never want to face the layoff situation. No way. Like when you have a resource, he or she becomes like a family member, and you kind of connect with them. So I think this concept of organic development and organic sustainability and moving towards a sustainable model is somewhat gaining some traction in the startup ecosystem. I hope that the fake valuation mindset would, end kind of. So
actually, the truth is, Aisha, I don't know what exactly the market will say after the COVID-19. But I must tell you that doing this organic sort of business that you're also doing and I'm also doing, it's not easy. It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of focus, a lot of strategy, right?
Yes.
Because the thing with viral content is if you're doing something today that is viral today, right?
Yes.
The audience will also need something viral tomorrow also from you.
Exactly.
And they will need something viral also the next day. And the day that you don't have the viral content, you are flopping.
Yes.
With the organic business is every day they know that you're not gonna go viral, but that content that you provide, it's more richer than, let's say, more noisy. It's not noisy. It's more richer in content. Exactly. Right? I think that's what we do, right? So that's our speciality. But, to be honest, I met a lot of investors, a lot of VCs. They actually do not like my way of doing business because they're like, okay, it is not what they expect. They want to see the fake valuation and the hockey stick numbers and maths, whereas I am already profitable. So for me, they're like, hang on, so you're already profitable. We don't know what exactly to do with you because we have because normally we don't see companies who are profitable and that's not their goal, right? And I really hope and pray that after we are done with the COVID-19 saga, I would say, companies and investors and the whole ecosystem understands that in the end, it is the real business that will be standing alone in the storm.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And all the businesses who are playing on these fake ads, valuation, and viral content, right? They'll not be able to produce that content anymore because they're already out of cash, and now either they will want to raise more money against some fake valuation, and then again they will come down crashing. I think now the world is waking up to this fact that a business is the one that makes profit.
Yes.
Whether it's 25 cents profit, whether it's $1, whatever it is, anything that is above your cost is profit, right? That's how.
Exactly. And a business is also something that is very much needed by the customers, that they won't leave it. So yeah, this was really amazing conversation with you, Ammar. And I at least want to see more of you and more of Final Rentals. Thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom sharing with everyone. So this is really awesome. And see you around. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It was lovely.
Likewise.
Thank you.